Hello and welcome back to the channel. The A350 from IniBuilds has released, and it's a complex plane. You know, if you've flown the planes, if you flew any of the other IniBuilds planes, you'll feel a little bit at home, but there are a few things that are different. In this video, we're going to dive into a quick startup of the IniBuilds 350. Stay tuned. Okay, so here we are, cold and dark in the 350. The first thing we want to do is go up top here, and we're going to click these 4 battery switch buttons. Once you click them, they're eventually going to turn to fault, blink a couple more times, and then eventually go off. And what we're going to do is look on down here, and we're going to see that our systems are slowly coming to life. Once we see those systems come to life, we can go up top again, and we can go to external power and turn that to auto. By doing that, the rest of the system will start to come alive. And now we are on external power. If we look on the outside of the aircraft here, turn around here, we see that the GPU is connected to the aircraft by default. You also hear now the AC kicking on board. Next, what I like to do is go to nav for each one of the IRSs here. Now, before we go any further, please do note that the steps I'm showing you here are not going to be exactly correct how you do it in the real world, but enough to get you going with this aircraft. You will also need sim brief, so that's super important. If you do not have sim brief, go ahead and get that going. There are plenty of videos, I think I might have one up on my channel, of how to use sim brief with Microsoft Flight Sim. What we're going to do next is we're going to click on the fuel tank, because we do need these things so that we can get the APU going. I'm going to click on cruise supply, get that going, and at this point you can do your lights if you'd like to. I like to do the wing lights on. The beacon light as of this video is broken within the aircraft, so I'm not going to turn that on. We don't need the compass stuff, but we are going to go to auto for the seat belts, auto for the no smoking, auto for the mobile, and emergency light is going to be armed. I'm going to go master switch for the APU, give it a couple seconds, and then we're going to click start. Once we have that start, we're going to go over to the tablet here. This tablet is really cool with this the 350. What we want to do is click on the flight ops, and we're going to import your flight sim brief information, so we can see this flight is Minneapolis to O'Hare. We're then going to go ahead and go to load sheet. With load sheet, you can import the flight plan into your system here. Once you have that set up, we can go on down to the tablet, and in the tablet you want to make sure it says FMS1, click on active and go to init. Once you hit that, you can click on request your flight, and this is going to pull your sim brief information. Give it a couple seconds to load up. Once it's loaded, click on it again and insert. We now have a flight information set up. So now we can go up to active, and we can go into fuel and load. Upon doing so, we can now go back over to our tablet, and we can set the 0 fuel weight, and we can set the fuel in the aircraft. We're going to see that load up right there. And now we have to import that information into our systems here. So I like to get a view like this just to kind of see what I'm looking at. So for our 0 fuel weight, we're going to type in 368.0. So 368.0, enter. Oops, sorry, we're going to click on this first and then type in 368.0, enter. Doing that's going to bring you over to the next one, and that's over here. For that one, we're going to type in here 2952. So 2952, enter. We have that imported. Nope, didn't work, so let's try it again. Oh yeah, so in this one, we're going to type in 29.5. We're going to drop the 2 because it only likes 3 characters. Hit enter. Now for the block here, we're going to type in the fuel right here. So 264.8. Or sorry, what is that? 264.6. So we're going to type in 2. I already forgot it. Sorry. 64. Oh, got to click on it again. 264.6, and then enter. All right. So now we have that set up. Passenger count is going to be right here. So 260. Again, this is all pulled from your SimBrief profile. Enter. We now have that information popped in there. We can now go over to flight plan, and you can see this pulled all our flight information. Now, what we want to do next is go to the EFB, and we can go into our charts if you want to look at that, or you can click on load sheet, which is what we have here. What we want is our takeoff information. Boom. So we have our takeoff information. This is going to come up next, but what we can do is sync it with SimBrief. So we want to pull it from SimBrief. We have that information. We can sync it as well for the current weather information, and we click on results and pull that information. This is going to give us our speeds for takeoff. Once you have that, you can import your departure information. So we type on Minneapolis, and we go to departure. We're currently departing runway 30 left in Minneapolis. Via, our SID's going to be RST1, and our transition is going to be RST. So we don't have nothing there for that. Temporary import and temporary import. That's now set in there for our departure. Our arrival, you can do that as well. So we're going to do Chicago. We're expecting runway 9 left for that. Our arrival, we're expecting an ILS at this point. Via, we don't have anything at this moment. Our star, we're expecting the FYTTE7. Click on that. Transition is going to be zipper. Click on that. Temporary flight plan. Temporary flight plan. All right, so now we have runway 30 for that. Chicago, 9 left. We can now go to active and go to performance. Now, one more step you can do if you wanted to is wind. You can get your company wind information. So if you click on that little button there, it's going to get that wind information for you. Give it a couple seconds. It's requested. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and go into our performance. And this information is right here. All we have to do is click on send to the FMS and click confirm. This brought over our V speeds. This also brought over our packs, and this brought over our flex information. At that point, this aircraft is pretty much ready for pushback and engine start. So you get your clearance, and then you also get your pushback and engine start. Once you're ready, we see that the APU is available, so we can go to off on these guys. Perfect. And then you would go ahead and do your engine starts. Before you do engine starts, of course, you want to go to your bleed. So we're going to click on APU bleed, that button there. And now we go on down here. We can start our engine either 1 or 2. We can switch this over to start mode. Give it a couple seconds. And then click engine number 1. Engine number 1 is going to start spooling on up here. So you can see we have movement here with the engines for N3. And we see engine N2, moving up as well. Eventually this is going to go up and become available. Once it's available, you can do engine number 2. Now while that's doing up, we can go ahead and go to the FMS here, and we can click on this little button, SURV. And now this is you're going to do this not at this very moment, but you would do this when you're holding short of the runway ready for departure. You can click this to auto, and then switch this over to Terra. So if you know, this is how, if ATC is asking you squawk, this is how you make sure you're squawking properly. You can put your information right up in here as well. So now we're just waiting for that engine number 1 to fully come on board, and then we can start up engine number 2. Now when it comes to the system here, the FMS, I like to have this one set for FMS 1, and then I like to have this set for flight plan. So I see at least my route right there, right? And this one I like to have set from active over to performance, because then I can see my speeds. Engine 1 is now available. Go on down here. Engine number 2 is going to come on board, and that's going to start working. Now, once you have engine 1 up, you can go ahead and bring your flaps down. So, flaps are right over here, so you can bring that to wherever you need to do. I'm going to go ahead and do flaps number 1 departure is what this is. Spoilers are also going to come up here. And then there's a magic little button here. You're going to see eventually this is going to pop up saying you need to do your auto brakes, RTO for your brakes. Click on that little button there, and that is your brakes. And the last and final thing we're going to do is going to be, once the engine number 2 is set up, we're going to swing on up here and turn off the bleed. And once the bleed's gonna be turned off, we can go ahead and switch to auto for the engine start. And that's it. Your engines are up. Your aircraft is ready for departure. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Give me that thumbs up, as always, subscribe, and give me a comment down below of what you think of this beautiful A350 from IniBuilds. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.